In this video, we're going to be talking about scientific notation. There'll be moments where you can pause the video, and I'll give you a chance to work on a problem, and then you can turn the video back on and see if you understand how to do it. So scientific notation is just a way of writing a number in a specific kind of way. It's because some numbers have too many zeros, and so we don't want to have to write all those zeros. We'll probably make a mistake. So it's for numbers that are very big or very small, measurements that are very large or very small, and we want to write them as a factor. And so the first factor is going to have to be between 1 and 10. And that first factor can be less than or equal to 1, but it can't be greater than 10. It can't equal 10 either. So you have to look at a number. Let's say we look at the number like 2,740. And let's say that's centimeters. I'm just making up a measurement. And we want to put this into scientific notation. So right now, that number is larger than 10. So we need to move the decimal to make it between 1 and 10. And then we'll know how many powers of 10 to put as our second factor. So if I move the decimal, I'm going to move it in a direction that is going to make this number between 1 and 10. I don't want to move it this way because that's going to make it a larger number. So I'm going to move it, if I moved it once, that would be 274. Like if I stopped right now and the decimal were right here, that'd be 274. If I move it again, that would be 27.4. And if I move it one more time, now I have a number between 1 and 10. So this is going to be 2.74, and then that's the first part. That's between 1 and 10. It's greater than 1, it's less than 10. Now I have to have a power of 10 so that this number equals the number that I started out with. So I count how many times I moved the decimal. I moved it 1, 2, 3 times. And all this means is take 2.74, multiply by 10, multiply by 10, multiply by 10, and that's going to be 2,740. So this number here is the number in scientific notation. You can do the same thing with very small numbers. So if you have a small number like 0.0047, we'll make it centimeters again. That is way less than 1. So you have to move the decimal to make that between 1 and 10. So if I moved it the opposite way, that's going to make it smaller and smaller and smaller. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to move it the other way. If I move it right here and stopped, that would be 0.047. That's still less than 1. So I got to move it again. 0.47, still less than 1. I move it one more time and I have 4.7. That's between 1 and 10. That's the rules for the first factor. So I write that down. Now I've got to figure out the power of 10. This is slightly trickier, but not much. What you need to remember from your math classes is that if you have 10 to the negative first power, that's the same thing as 1/10. When you have a negative exponent, it means put it in the other place. So if it was in the numerator, you put it in the denominator, and vice versa. So when we do this over here, we once again count how many times we move the decimal. 1, 2, 3 times. But instead of it just being 3, we have to make it -3, which means 4.7 times a 10th times a 10th times a 10th. Let's have you try one on your own. Let's do 0.000078 seconds. So stop the video, put that into scientific notation, and then come back. Okay, so what you should have done is you should have went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7.8 times 10 to the -6. Hope you got it right. So that's how you put numbers into scientific notation. You do the opposite if you're trying to take them out of scientific notation. So what you can do is if you have something like 3.6 times 10 to the 4th, it simply means take 3.6 and multiply it by 10 4 times, or make it bigger by 4 place values. 3.6, move the place value 4 times so that you get a larger number. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then fill in with zeros. So the answer is 36,000. You do the same thing if it were a smaller number. I'll just use that same 3.6 and make it 10 to the -2nd. That negative tells you that this number is getting smaller. So what you're going to do, make it smaller, you've got to move the decimal the other way. If you start moving it this way, you're getting a bigger number than 3.6. 1, 2, fill in with zeros, 0.036. try one. 5.73 times 10 to the negative fourth. Pause the video, put that as a decimal or a whole number. So take 5.73 times 10 to the negative fourth and make it a decimal or a whole number. The negative 4 means that you're going to make it a smaller number by 4 place values. So you start out with the 5.73 and then you move it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and fill in with zeros. So the answer is 0.000573. That's how you do scientific notation.
May I have your attention, please?